Timing belts versus timing chains. Today we're going to discuss the differences between these two and which one is actually better for your car. The results might actually subscribe you to this channel, so stick around. First off, the purpose of a timing belt or a timing chain is to correlate the movement of the crankshaft with the camshafts in your internal combustion engine. So here we've got our piston that's going to move up and down in the cylinder. This is our intake valve, which is going to bring in fresh air, and our exhaust valve, which is going to expel hot air. Now those valves can only be open when the piston is either moving down or moving up respectively. Now in order to correlate the crankshaft and the camshaft, we have this timing belt. In this case, it might also have a tensioner, an idler, or a water pump also driven off of it. So let's take a look at the timing setup on this Genesis G70 Theta 2 engine. First off, a timing belt would normally sit outside the engine here and just be covered with a cover because it does not need to interface with the oiling system inside of the engine. Now the timing chain setup has this cover, and you'll see inside this cover it's going to be all oil inside of here running through. As a result, you got to seal off this cover all the way around, and that's where some failures could occur with timing chain covers could leak. You don't have that on a timing belt setup. Taking a look at our timing chain setup, we've got our crankshaft, which has a chain that slides on this plastic piece over here, goes over to the exhaust camshaft, intake camshaft, then over to another slide and back around. This here is our tensioner. As you can see, it's like a plunger that's going to push out on that timing chain slide. Now, the timing belt is made of rubber. It is reinforced. As you can see, there's little fibers inside of there that make it nice and strong. Meanwhile, a timing chain itself is just a very simple metal roller chain design. Some of them use double, triple, or quadruple rollers. So why are we having this discussion if you think chains have already replaced belts? Well, the thing is, a lot of popular vehicles are still using belts. You've got all Honda V6 engines, a lot of smaller Ford EcoBoost engines, Fiat engines, small Volkswagen 1.4, 1.5 engines, as well as older Subaru Boxer engines. Of course, if you're buying a used vehicle, it'll be a lot older and might even still come with a timing belt. So why have we changed from timing belts to timing chains? The real reason is maintenance costs. You see this rubber belt over here? Well, it's going to wear out after a while, and as part of preventative maintenance, every 100,000 kilometers or so, you got to fork out about $1,000 if you're not paying your own labor to change this belt. So what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of using this timing belt over this timing chain? Well, first of all, the timing belt's going to be a lot cheaper, easier to manufacture compared to a timing chain. You've also got a lot less friction here. You've got metal on metal rolling around. It's going to create more noise, and it also needs lubrication. You don't need that with a timing belt. Now, what you do need to do for a timing belt is replace it every 100,000 kilometers or so, and all of the other components associated with it as part of preventative maintenance. So your bearings, idler pulley, tensioner pulley, as well as the water pump. Now, a timing belt resides in the outside of the engine, so if any oil leaks on it, unfortunately this will degrade. Whereas in the timing chain, you actually need the oil to leak on it to lubricate it. Now we move on to timing chains, and by far the biggest selling point of these timing chains is that its shear strength allows it to last much longer, maybe 200 to 300,000 kilometers or so before you have to think about replacing it at all. Or 100,000 kilometers if you've got an Audi. However, the biggest asterisk when it comes to timing chains lasting longer is the fact that there's other components in the system itself that could also fail. First of all, timing chains won't actually snap and break just like a timing belt and render your engine useless. They'll probably stretch over a while and dial your timing off. So as I pull these pieces off here, you'll see this is our slide. So I'll take apart this slide over here, and as you'll see, these are made of really chintzy plastic. And that's a big failure point because a lot of manufacturers want to go lightweighting. They're not going to use metal or metal-backed plastic. Now, it did have this wear surface on it, and you can see there are some grooves inside of here. And this engine only had 110,000 kilometers on it. So you can imagine as this engine gets a little bit higher in mileage, either these are going to break or the slides themselves are going to wear through. All right, looking at the bottom here, we're going to take off the tensioner. This is where you're going to notice there's a little hole on the engine block, and that corresponds to a hole on the back of the tensioner. That's where oil pressure has to come in through and pressurize this piston inside of here to push it out against that timing chain slide to keep the chain nice and tight. As you can see, this is a ratcheting style timing chain tensioner, which is better than using a non-ratcheting one. I could push this back here and reset it so I can reuse it. Some vehicles don't have this ratcheting mechanism, which allows you to actually push it back in when you lose oil pressure. That's not good because if there's a problem with the oil pressure, it also screws up your timing and potentially bend valve. Next, we've got our variable valve timing phasers. Now, this is an oil control style. If you have an issue with the cam crank correlation, not only could it be a stretched timing chain, but it could also be one of these phasers that are messed up. This side here is an electric variable valve timing phaser for Hyundai's continuously variable valve timing technology. I'm going to open this up in a later video to see how it works. See, if this piston were to come up and you no longer have camshaft to crankshaft correlation, the valve could be open and the piston would smack the valve, bending it, and therefore you now have no compression as the air is just going to escape where it came from. Let's get this engine head off here and take a look underneath. Here's a look under the head here. You'll see you've got our intake and exhaust valves. When they open up, they're going to pop up away from the surface of the head. And here's our engine piston. You'll see as it slowly rises to the top, it becomes flush with the deck. And you can imagine if this valve is popped out past this deck here and this piston is near the top, it's going to collide with each other, and the valve is the weaker one, which is going to get bent. And that happens when you have poor cam-crank correlation or a busted timing system. And a bent valve involves remanufacturing the head, which means that you have to remove this entire thing from the vehicle, including intake, exhaust, timing, and cooling components. That's a lot of labor. Now there's something called a wet timing belt. That's going to take a special timing belt and run it through the vehicle's oil in order to cool it and lubricate it, supposedly allowing for more efficiency. The problem with that is that this is rubber, and hot engine oil don't mix very well. The rubber is going to start to disintegrate into small, tiny little pieces and get stuck in your vehicle's oil pump, starving it of oil. Therefore, you have to replace a wet timing belt a lot more frequently than a dry timing belt, with the complexity of replacing a timing chain because you're dealing with the oiling system. So as you can see, doing timing chains on this engine is quite invasive because it's inside the engine. It's a lot of work because you got to get all the accessories off, and sometimes on front wheel drive cars you're right up against the frame rail. If you're using cheap components like this and you have a timing related failure, it's a lot more labor to do a timing job compared to a timing belt system, which is external to the engine. And rest in peace if you got a broken slide on an Audi or a BMW that has the timing chain at the back of the engine, where you have to remove the transmission in order to access the timing system. Now the good thing about timing chains is they give you a little bit of notice in terms of rattling if it's too loose, or a cam crank correlation check engine light that you could take care of before things get really bad and break. However, if you bought a car with no timing belt history, you're really just guessing it, because just looking at it isn't going to tell you how worn it is. Now in my opinion, with the amount of complexity inside of this timing chain setup, the degree to cost cutting of what's happening in the OE world in order to cut costs as well as improve economy, as well as the sheer amount of labor that it takes just to get into the engine to replace one of these vital components in case it fails, timing chains are now becoming inferior to timing belts. The good old timing belt system was a lot more reliable, more quiet. Although you did have to pay a little bit of extra labor, I think it's worth it compared to paying to do a timing chain job, because that's going to be a lot more. Now I want you to tell me in the comment section down below what your experience is with timing belts and timing chains, and if you've installed one on your car, and make sure you subscribe for more videos.